Thank you so much for joining me today and a big welcome to this live stream. Now, this baking live stream is a fun and interactive way for you to get involved in the International Animal Rescue's global fundraising event, Cakes for Apes. Now, International Animal Rescue are a UK-based charity but operate projects all over the world, from rescuing brown bears in Armenia and sloth bears in India to saving howler monkeys in Costa Rica. However, Cakes for Apes is a fundraising event in support of the orangutan rescue project in West Borneo. The survival of the species is under serious threat, and the orangutan is now labeled as a critically endangered species. Now, they work really hard in Borneo to rescue care for baby orangutans that have been taken away from their mothers to be sold as pets, and adults that have spent their entire lives in captivity, chained up and kept in tiny cages. The orphan orangutans who have been rescued as babies go through a lengthy process of rehabilitation, making their way through preschool, baby school and forest school. They are taught skills such as climbing, foraging, nest building, and all these things that they should have learned from their mothers in the wild. International Animal Rescue are currently caring for more than 100 rescued orangutans, each of which have heartbreaking stories and require round-the-clock care to recover from their past and learn what it means to be an orangutan once more. Once the orangutans have been released, they are monitored very closely to check they are coping well in the wild, and any animals that will not be able to survive in the wild are given a permanent home at the center. They also have an extensive landscape conservation project. This involves working to protect the forest, encouraging sustainable farming, reforesting areas lost in fires, and creating tree corridors that allow orangutans to move freely and safely between protected areas. In fact, since 2016, they have planted over 65,000 seedlings. Now, Cakes for Apes is in its fourth year, and IAR have made some significant changes to their global baking event for 2021 due to the pandemic to ensure that you can all still get involved and raise vital funds from the safety and comfort of your own home. This event is to kick off the month of Cakes for Apes, April, or in other words, April. Over the month of April, you can get involved in Cakes for Apes in many different ways. You could enter the online baking competition, the Great Ape Bake Off, set up a virtual tea party with your friends, or simply bake along with me today. And to find out more about how else you can get involved, please visit www.cakesforapes.org or follow them on Instagram and Facebook. Now, it's been a busy year for me too. I have been very busy baking and continue to do so. I like to share all recipes with you, keep you guys busy as well, so you don't have to think about so much about the meals. I can think about the recipes and you can just make them. But you know, the reason we are all here is to bake a delicious cake whilst raising life-saving funds. So how will it work? Hopefully, you all have got your ingredients in front of you. If not, the baking class is going to be sitting on my YouTube channel, so you can bake it at a later stage. And some of you may just be here for fun, because come on, you can watch me bake and then you can bake it later, or just enjoy, have a chat, leave me a question and I can answer it later. And we are very grateful that you're joining us. It's so wonderful to have you engaged and learning about International Animal Rescue and the work they do rescuing our orange cousins. So we are using this fantastic streaming platform, Tiltify. So it couldn't be any easier to engage and show your support. And we would be so grateful if you were to donate throughout the class. Every single donation you make will make a lasting difference to the lives of orangutans. And if you're watching on YouTube and want to make a donation, then please follow the link in the description to go to Tiltify page. And if you look along the top of the screen, there will be a progress bar where you can hit many milestones, and we are looking to hit a target of £7,000 today, and we would be absolutely blown away if you could help us get there. So please do. Now towards the end of the class, there will be opportunity for some questions like I mentioned before, and to ask a question you can make a donation simply and leave a comment, and then I will get the question later on. Right, if you have a question for me, that's great. If you have a question for International Animal Rescue or for Meridian, and we will do our best to answer them. So what am I baking today? Well, we are baking a vegan chocolate ginger nut cake. A very moist, delicious cake with ginger nut butter running through the batter, layered with ginger nut ganache icing. And this recipe is entirely vegan. Hooray! But please do feel free to adapt it to suit your dietary requirements if needed. International Animal Rescue have partnered up with Meridian Foods to bring you this wonderful jar of ginger nut butter, and for every jar sold, Meridian are donating 25p to support the orangutans at the IAR Indonesia Sanctuary. If you are unable to get your hands on a jar, quite possible, please do substitute it with Meridian's smooth peanut butter. So let's not waste any more time and let's get to the fun part, which is the baking. So what have we got here? I have got the ingredients in front of me, the list, because I know what I'm putting, but I can't, just to give you the exact measurements, though, you must have the ingredient list where you are as well. So I've got a mixer here, right? And before I do anything, I have got here 300 ml of almond milk, which I have got in this pan here. So here is our almond milk, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it to a boil. Not a full boil, just a little bit. Heat it up. And while that is just heating up, basically, I have got here vegan butter, and I've got 100 grams of that. I have weighed it all out for you. So I've got 100 grams of vegan butter, and I have got 50 grams of ginger nut butter. Obviously, if you haven't got ginger nut butter, just use smooth peanut butter. In fact, I wouldn't say no to, nutty peanut butter either. Right, I'm just going to wait for that to just come to a little bit of a heat. What I like about this recipe is it's so moist, and if you are baking a day in advance, then it's good the next day and the day after as well. And honestly, my kids could not tell whether it was vegan or not, because it was gone in minutes, which is a very good sign of a good cake. Right, so now if you were making an eggless cake, normally you would use buttermilk, but obviously we can't use buttermilk because we're making it vegan, and which is why we're bringing the almond milk to heat it up a little bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to add some cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons of that, once that kind of slightly warms up, which doesn't take long at all. Almost there. Just going to increase the heat a little bit. And what the cider vinegar does is it splits the milk, and then we kind of get this sour almond milk, which adds really well to help raise the cake and make it nice and moist. Without it being vegan, it's still amazing. So it is almost done, and I'm just going to get, I don't know how I forgot that, the tablespoon I need for the vinegar. Right, so that's it, it's done. Didn't take long. So it's nice and warm, as you can see. It's steaming up, but it's not boiling. You don't want it to boil. And I have got here cider vinegar. Going to add 2 tablespoons. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see how it looks when it's split. So just give it a few seconds, not minutes. Just a few seconds to kind of let it do the job. Ah, look. I don't know if you can see, but it has split. I'm going to give it a few seconds, not long, just so it splits it a bit more, which will be quite nice. Fantastic. Ooh, it is looking lovely. Right, so I am going to move on with the other bits of the cake while this is sitting in the vinegar. So I have got here 250 grams of self-raising flour. If you can't find self-raising flour wherever you are, you know, for some reason you can't find self-raising flour, no problem. You can use plain flour, and you can add a teaspoon of baking powder extra, because self-raising flour is basically plain flour with baking powder already mixed in. So I've got here 250 grams of self-raising flour, and then I have got here 50 grams of cocoa powder, which is going to make it nice and chocolatey, because that's what we want. And also I'm going to add baking powder, 2 teaspoons of that. Now when you are baking, you know, with baking, the thing is you have to kind of make sure you've got the measurements right. So when it says teaspoon, then make sure that the teaspoon is leveled and not like heaped. Maybe you can get away with sugar, but not with you know, baking powder. So I've got 2 teaspoons of baking powder in there, and I've got 1 teaspoon of bicarb of soda in there. That is done, and I am just going to give it a quick mix here, and also going to add 250 grams of caster sugar. Now I was just about to make it, and I thought actually I'm going to add golden caster sugar because I had some at home. So you can use plain white caster sugar or golden caster sugar, whatever you fancy. Just a mix of the dry ingredients. Now sometimes people kind of go a bit overboard and would kind of sift this, and I like to leave it all nice and natural. So you can see the milk is properly split now, liquid, and you can see the split bit. Now I'm going to add, most importantly, some coffee. Now this is something you can skip if you're making it and your kids are going to eat it, you don't want it. What it does is just intensifies the chocolate flavor, nothing else. It's not going to make it, you know, a strong coffee flavor. You can't taste the coffee at all because there's going to be the cocoa powder and all the chocolate later on. So coffee goes in the warm milk, and also going to add the vegan butter, and also the lovely ginger nut butter. If you can get hold of this, I think you can get it from their website. Definitely try it, because obviously I had not tried this before, and it is really quite special. Quite a lovely ginger flavor, but not overpowering, so it just balances in this cake so well. Right, I'm just stirring this so that from the heat of the milk, the butter will slightly kind of melt. Doesn't matter if it doesn't, to be honest, because we're going to whisk this anyways. But if you can just spend a few seconds stirring this, it will help. Right, so we've got I'll just do a quick recap. So we had an almond milk which we warmed up slightly, then we added some vinegar to this to help it split, kind of make it like a buttermilk is what we were looking for. Then we added some vegan butter and some gingernut butter. And then we have added some coffee to this for added flavor. And here I've got self-raising flour, baking powder, bicarb of soda, and sugar. And that takes all the ingredients. Always check if you're following a recipe. If not right now, if you have a recipe in front of you, just go through all the ingredients that you have put in, and then that makes sure that you have not missed anything out. So this liquid goes into the dry ingredients. Now you don't have to use a stand mix, you can just use plain whisk. In fact, it's so liquidy that you just could do it with a hand whisk. I'm going to stand back a little bit and then just whisk it for 2 minutes. Don't cut out on the time here. Keep quiet for a second. Right, I'm going to move this aside. Donate, don't forget. Right, that's it. Like I said, 2 minutes. And if you can see this, the color of this mixture has changed. It's become nice and deep, and it is running. Yes, so yeah, I'm just gonna scrape out the excess. I don't like to waste any bit of this loveliness. And I have got here 3 8-inch round cake tins, and I've just brushed it with some vegan butter, and I've put baking parchment in here. Now, if you want, you can use a weighing scale and divide this portion equally into 3. You could make just 2 layers. You could make one big cake. I'm using 3 because I just like the look of it, so that's why I'm using 3. Look at that! Just see this mixture, guys. You can tell it's going to be a delicious cake. So I'm just going by eye. I'm going to stop when I think it's had enough mixture and try and make it even. I like cakes that look rustic, that look homemade, because that's the whole beauty. You know, I don't want a kind of, you know, perfect looking cake, because it just shows that you've made it at home with love for whoever you've made it. So yeah, I like if they are different sizes. Layers is also fine for me, works for me. Right, so I have got my oven preheated at 160 C fan or 180 without fan, and this goes in for 30 minutes. And you know, give it 30 minutes because it does need time to bake properly. Right. Okay, there it goes. I am actually going to put a timer on for 30 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to leave this aside and move this a little out of the way as well. I am just wondering if there are any questions for me yet. I am going to come to questions in 2 minutes, but before that I am going to, while the cakes are baking, I'm going to start on the ganache. The reason being, that once I start on the ganache, it needs to slightly cool down before we add it to the cream. So that will give us just enough time to kind of add it to our final cream for the filling. So for the ganache, I need coconut milk because it's vegan. And this was actually, I'm not vegan, but I'm going to be making this more because of the coconut milk, the flavor it gave with chocolate was so lovely that I'm actually going to make it more often with this rather than normal cream because I loved the texture and the taste. So what I've got here is full fat coconut milk, and I just want to take kind of the fat bit from the top, because usually when you buy coconut milk in a tin, the top bit has got all the fat collected, and I'm just going to take out around 200 grams because that should leave us with the bottom of just with all the liquid. Just going to try and get all the thick creamy bits out. And yeah, if you are using normal cream, then double cream is a good option, but yeah, go for whatever your requirements are, your preferences. But this was absolutely delicious. I loved it. So sorry, I'm just looking for more creamy bits in here. Okay, how are we doing? Are we doing all right? Are we enjoying this? Don't forget, you can just drop in your questions. I will have a look at them in literally 2 minutes once this ganache is done, and we can have a little chat while our cake's baking. So don't forget to check that, and don't forget the link to the donation is also in the Tiltify, sorry. I'm just going to warm it up. So once again, I am going to not boil it. So with the almond milk, I didn't boil it, but I just literally simmered it. But this one, I'm going to go a bit further and stop before it starts to boil. And what I'm going to do here is I am using vegan chocolate. I've got dark chocolate, 70% cocoa, and I have got 200 grams because that's the amount of coconut milk I used. So just break it up into small pieces and just check if I have got any questions for me yet. Right, yes. How did I get into baking? Very good. So I used to bake when I was little, and you know, in India we didn't, obviously now things have changed, but ovens were not a big thing growing up. And my mum had this portable oven, and it's like a slow cooker, and it would go from one room to the other. So she would plug it in the bedroom one day, she would plug it in our bedroom someday, or in the corridor someday. That was the oven. And if you can believe me, she still has one of those ovens. And yeah, so we only made basic cakes, and we never made cookies, we never made pastries, because there were so many Indian sweets and dishes which we used to make. But so I've always been fond of baking, and then I moved to this country many years ago and you know, I wanted to bake, and then I discovered Victoria sponge, which is just, you know, it's the most basic cake, but I absolutely love it. And then I started watching Great British Bake Off. I watched it from the very first season, and yeah, I started baking for my kids by the time I just had kids, and made their birthday cakes, and then just my interest grew, and you know, and I'm here now. So yeah, it's just been a very long or not very long journey, but yeah, it's just been an interest of cooking and baking always. So I hope that answers your question. Right, what's your favorite animal? Oh my god, I've never been asked that question before. I love peacocks though. Is that a bird though? Would that be a bird? Elephants, aren't they just amazing animals? And of course, orangutans. They're just so cute and you just want to cuddle them. What was the inspiration behind this particular cake? So the inspiration was that it should be a celebration cake because we are coming into April and we have Easter around the corner, but also we are celebrating the lives of orangutans and the amazing animals. So I wanted it to keep kind of chocolatey, and of course keep it vegan because it's all about the animals. And so yeah, that's how the inspiration came about. And what is the biggest disaster? So thankfully I've not had many disasters in the kitchen. Thank God. Because just because when you're cooking and if you've made a mistake, you can always recover it. There's not much you can not do about it. If it's baking, yes, if it's a big fail, then you really can't do anything. But if it's cooking, you can always rescue it somehow. And I just wouldn't want to waste. So yeah, the only thing I do remember was I made a pudding. My friends were here. And I made a chocolate pudding actually. It was like a pudding with sauce, and I forgot to add sugar, and we just were eating it and they didn't say a word, poor things. What to know, they just felt like embarrassed to say anything, but I had forgotten to add sugar, and just didn't taste nice at all. Right, so the coconut milk is done. That is looking lovely. What I'm going to do is I am going to add some lovely ginger nut butter, because why not? So I'm going to add 50 grams of that butter onto, actually I'll add it in the chocolate so then they can both melt together. 50 grams of that. I promise, it just, because the dark chocolate is not too sweet, this not just nut butter just makes it so lovely, and just that hint of ginger, so nice, so nice. Right, so that is 50 grams of ginger nut butter. God, I've already gone through a few of these jars. I think this is my last jar left. Need to get myself some more. Right, so I've got dark chocolate in here, I have got ginger nut butter in here, and as you can see, it was hot, almost come to a boil, but not boiling still, and I've just poured it on top of the chocolate. I'm gonna get this spatula. I can't see, but I would love to know how many, if anybody is baking with me, because I'm sure I got messages saying that they will bake it later on and they've got all the ingredients, but I wonder if anyone is actually baking with me. Please let me know. Please let me know. Somebody is here reading the comments, so please let me know. And yeah, this is, if I can only encourage you to do cakes for Apes, but if you do bake something, instead of this dark chocolate, if you want, you can use all the leftover Easter chocolate after Easter. So if you do bake it after this weekend, then you will have a lot of choice of, you might have, though a lot of people say, what, do you have leftover chocolate? But yeah, sometimes we do have leftover chocolate from when they started on an egg and it's just not gone anywhere. And then I'll find in boxes, I'll find little pieces of chocolates in every boxes, and it's just I wouldn't want to throw it, so I usually end up baking something with it. And this is quite a lovely The cakes are rising beautifully. Fantastic. So this is looking fantastic. So I'm stirring it so that with the heat of the coconut milk, we can melt the chocolate and the butter in here. So you have to keep stirring, and it might look like it's splitting, but don't worry, because we are going to whisk this in a minute with some lovely cream. Right, I'm not checking my phone, I'm just looking for if there are any other questions. Right, where can I buy the apron? Isn't it lovely? Right, this I think is available on their Cakes for Apes shop, which is cakesforapes.org. So you can check it out there if you fancy getting this and wearing it in the kitchen. Right, any other questions? I've got 5 more minutes before I get to the icing. Anything else if you would like to ask, please let me know. Right, that is looking fantastic. I must wash my hands quickly. And I'm just going to try and get assembling this stuffed cake here. Right. So just going to put all of this away because we don't need it anymore. I've got this to check on the cake, which will be quite nice, and I'm just making space here nice and tidy, ready for the cake stand. That's what the word I was looking for, the cake stand. Right, so just going to quickly check. Lovely, beautiful stand. Right, can we use ginger powder instead? Okay, so if you can't find, very good question, if you can't find the ginger nut butter, you can use their smooth peanut butter or any smooth peanut butter, and you can add, I would say, add half a teaspoon of ginger, ground ginger, to this ganache. And to the cake I would add, depends on how strong you want it, half a teaspoon in the cake as well, and that will give you just the right balance. If you are a big fan of ginger, then go for 1 teaspoon in the cake batter, but that should be plenty, don't overdo it. That's just nice and subtle. And also, what baking time would you recommend if the mixture is split into 2 rather than 3? So I would go for around 40 minutes because the vegan cake takes a little bit longer to cook, and the 2 of them should be done between 35 to 40 minutes. I always say a time range because I don't know how your oven works. Every oven is different, even though it says the temperature is the same. So always, if a recipe says 35 to 40 minutes, check it at 35 because it could be done. And then if it's not, then check at 40 minutes. So yes, that's why the range. So it should be 35 to 40 minutes. Right, I am going to move on to the cream. So I have got here some plant-based double cream, and I am just going to add the whole of this, which is around 270 ml. That's right, 270 ml of the cream. And I have got here some icing sugar, 50 grams. Now this just kind of sweetens it up slightly because we are not making it sickly sweet. You've seen there's such a balance of flavors. There's dark chocolate, ginger nut, what am I looking for? The whisk. So there is the cake is not overly sweet as well, so it's a lovely cake. Definitely, I would highly recommend it. Oops. So yeah, do try, because it's, you know, some of the thing is with chocolate cake, it can go dry and completely ruin it. And I just am not a big fan of dry chocolate cakes, any dry cakes, but chocolate cake can become very claggy or can become dry and heavy. Yeah, so for me, chocolate cake needs to be nice and moist and not too heavy or too rich. And this is a perfect balance for that. So now I'm going to whisk it until it's soft cakes. Take me a minute because the plant-based cream takes a bit longer to whisk, so it gives you a minute to quickly check on your cakes. And also, please send in your questions, anything, just send us your questions, leave it on the YouTube, leave a comment there, and after I've stopped this, I can answer it while I'm assembling the cakes. So please send in your questions now. About this plant-based cream is that there are very few chances of whipping it, because you know, it takes so long to whip it. So I have got here a slightly cooled down ganache, because this ganache is still warm. So I'm going to leave that aside. I will use it, don't worry. Even if I have to make another cake just to use that, I will. So I'm just going to add the ganache. Do this. Oh. Awesome. And then whisk it for one last time. Is one amazing icing. That is just so gorgeous. I would have it on my pancakes. I would have it on some biscuits. I would just need a spoon, really. Right, so I've got the cake tin, cake stand here, and ta-da! I have got some ready baked cakes which I baked around maybe a couple of hours ago. So they are still fresh, really fresh, but they are not warm anymore. So that's the difference. And I did that just because I could then ice it with you guys, because that is still going to take some time. So in goes our cake. The color on that is just so intense. Just gonna move it, okay, leave it there, leave it there. I need a spatula and I need a, oh, that is just so fluffy. Oh my god, you can feel the lightness of the cream. Look at that, just look at that, like light as air, seriously. Right, so 1/3 of the cream goes on top. Guys, don't forget to send in your questions. Don't forget to go and donate on the link. I was just going to put it straight on top. Too much talking. Just whatever you can donate, please help us reach our target and save these ginger cousins, like I said earlier. They are doing such an amazing job there to raise these, protect these and raise these orangutans, that we need to do whatever we can from our end. Right, on goes another layer. Oh, look at that. Oh my god, that's gonna be good. More cream. Now this, oh, it's a messy table right now, but it's all for this deliciousness, so that's all right. The cream is not, because it's that vegan cream, it's just so light, and you can't over whip it, but at the same time it's just light as air. Just trying to smoothen it out before I put on the last layer. So yeah, you can make it with 4 layers, you can make it with 2 layers, you can just make one massive cake, which will of course take longer to bake, don't forget. So don't take it out in a rush if you are making one large cake. And then goes in the rest of the icing. Oh dear. It's just beautiful. Isn't it just beautiful? Absolutely stunning. Just going to move this aside and wash my hands. And you know, if you are watching this later, oh, I got rid of the, if you are watching this later, you can still donate if you just go on the link, click on the link. But yeah, please, if you can, whatever you can do to help the International Animal Rescue. Right, so I use the side of the back, you can use the back of a spoon to just swirl it up. Just make it look, come on, look at that. Isn't it just so lovely? Oh my god, so lovely. Hoo-hoo, that's good stuff. I'm just looking at if any description. You can find the recipe in the description box. There are all the ingredients we have listed there, and you can get the link to donate in the description box as well. If you have any more questions, please let me know. I am here for next few minutes before I sign off. Now, shall I cut a slice? Say yes or no in the comments in the YouTube. I'm going to look for answers here. Come on, yes or no? Should I slice it up or not? What are you saying? Yes or no? Yes or no, guys? Yes or no? Shall I cut into it and enjoy a slice of cake? Well, if you're baking with me, you totally deserve this. And I can smell those cakes from the oven. I can smell the chocolate and the ginger and yeah. Are we a yes? Okay, we are a yes. Okay, I'm gonna go for a yes. Just look at this, okay? Just look at this. Isn't it just, and you know, you can, it's perfect, but it's so homely and beautiful. And anyone would love this for a, oh, soft, just so soft. The cake is, okay. It's so fresh. It's just going to fall apart. That's how fresh it is. Ooh, ooh, look at that. Don't want to be licking my fingers. Health and safety. Right, look at this beautiful thingy. And I'm going in because, you know, I've earned it. So, have you made any donation yet? And are you going to try this recipe? Oh boy. Oh, I need to sit down for this. Oh boy, it's good. You cannot tell it's vegan. Seriously, it's so light, it's fluffy, it's moist, it is just, that cream is sensational. And the ginger nut coming through so subtly is beautiful. Right, last chance. Last chance. Any other question? But guys, if you have joined me today, thank you so much. I am still here next couple of minutes, and yeah, you can make this with slightly change the flavor. If you don't want, if you just want to add ginger to the cake, you could add some lemon to the icing, or you could add the lemon to the cake and you could add some ginger to the icing. That's a lovely combination. But yeah, whatever you do, please do try this recipe and let me know in the comments if you do give it a go. And I will just check if you have any more questions. I can't see anything here, but yeah, it is so delicious. It is beautiful. And you know, I love my food and I love cakes. I could totally, completely skip the main meal and just go straight to dessert. But guys, yeah, thank you for joining me, and please please go click on the link and make a donation. Don't forget, it's just something little we can all contribute to and make a big massive difference. So yeah, it's not too late. You can go and do that right now. It's no doubt an amazing chocolate cake. And beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Right, if you have got nothing, no more questions. Right, you store it. How do you store it? Very good. I would put a glass lid on it, or I have at times put some kind of beeswax wrap on it. And the best is if you just get these lids, and it's good to keep reusing them because they're great. And I would put it in the fridge. But I wouldn't eat it straight from the fridge. Just please don't eat cake straight from the fridge. It just doesn't do any justice to the beauty. That's my timer from the cake. I'm going to quickly check it. Yeah, please don't do this. Don't eat cake straight from the fridge. Let it sit and come to room temperature. Give it an hour. Sometimes, if we forgotten to take it out, we still want it. Doesn't work for every single cake. I just warm it up in the microwave for 10 seconds, 10 seconds only. And it just kind of loses the butter and just loses the cake, which is beautiful. It will keep for 4-5 days in the fridge. You can't leave it outside for 4-5 days. It'll be gone. But yeah, 4-5 days in the fridge easily, it'll stay in there. And yeah, just get it to room temperature before you serve it. And while I'm still talking to you, I am just going to check on the cakes. They worked beautifully. And look how beautiful that looks. Look at that cake. Just exactly how I made it before. Perfect. The shine. Ooh, the cake is falling. See, I told you. Burn my hands. Okay, it might be time to wrap up. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's too fresh. Everything's too fresh. Stick that in. That's it. It's not going to go anywhere now. But thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please don't forget to make a donation for a great cause to International Animal Rescue. I'm just checking there was a message if there's a question. But thank you so much, guys. You can catch this again. I will leave it here on YouTube. And of course, you can continue to make your donations. Get involved. Cakes for Apes. Do check it out. And thank you so much for today. Bye, guys.